We are nearing the end of the year and winter is certainly coming, and that can only mean one thing. Could this be the final Carboot of 2022?
Pick us! Building the games room! Rush trips! Live game hunting!
Hello folks, and welcome back to another live game hunting video. And here we are at what could be the last Carboot of 2022. What a season it has been, but as the days get shorter and rainier, I think this could be our last one for the year. Let's hope we go out on a bang. What a season it has been this year. There's been some highs, some lows, there's been some absolute bangers, and I just hope this final Carboot doesn't disappoint. Let's find out. But before we head off to the Carboot, I just want to remind you folks, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday night at 5, and I want you folks along for the ride. Now, one more time to the Carboot. Here we go then. If this is the last Carboot of the year, let's make it a good one. And straight in, there's loads of PSP discs in here. They were mainly movies, which I am trying to stray away from, but there was a couple of games in here. But the main problem was they were pretty bad titles, and any title I liked looked even remotely interesting didn't have a cartridge or a disc, whatever you want to call it, a little UMD disc, so that was very disappointing. I kind of went through all of these. I didn't know if some of the discs might have been loose or in other boxes, but it turned out the only ones that were actually there were the UMDs, and they were mainly like best of football and stuff like that. It's not the best start. On the next stall, there was a couple of DVDs, the classic Resident Evil films and the classic Die Hard films, which are a fantastic franchise, but sadly neither of these would have very good trade-in price. On the next stall, there was a kind of box of stuff, and hiding in here was quite a few of the Super Mario Happy Meal toys. I know these are only cheap and kind of tacky little items, but I just like these for decorating the shelves in the games room. If for nothing else, if you buy like official Mario figures, they're normally pretty expensive. So little hack, if you're looking for some Mario figures just to kind of dot around the games room and decorate your shelves, the McDonald's ones are pretty cheap and easy to pick up and definitely do the job, and they're a lot cheaper. I think I picked up 3 of these figures from this seller for £1, which at the end of the day I don't think is too bad, and if nothing else, it just makes the games room look a little bit nicer. The next stall had a couple of Xbox 360 games, but sadly nothing either worth trading into CX or keeping in the collection. I have no idea why Guitar Hero Live came in like this double disc case with the DJ Hero manual in there, but there we go. This is something you see all the time at the Carboot. People mixing up discs and books. Next stall, and we had a knockoff N64 controller. Problem is, this thing felt absolutely terrible, so I left it behind. There was a fairly sizable stack of PlayStation 2 demos, but I think I've asked these people before, and I think they're asking like 7 or 8 quid for the entire stack. Demos, the kind of thing, if I can pick them up for 20 to 50p, yes, I'm going to pick them up, but any more than that, I'd probably just pick up a full game. Speaking of full PlayStation 2 games, on the next store we had some priced PlayStation 2 games, and these were definitely not priced to sell. The Da Vinci Code for £4. This is the thing, some people think some of these old PlayStation 2 games are worth a lot more than they are. This is something I've learned to pay a lot more attention to over the last year, and that is boxes of DVDs. The first thing I pulled out was this steelbook of the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. And the thing is, with video game like steelbooks, they're normally worth a lot more than you think. Any game steelbook is normally going to fetch £3 to £4 on eBay. I did flick through all of these DVDs to see if there's anything that stood out to either take into CX or flip on eBay, but nothing really jumped out on me. That is the thing, when you go to the car boots, there is going to be a lot of DVDs, and it is a very small percentage of those DVDs that are worth either trading in or selling on eBay. But missed out this time, but I have got lucky a few times, so next time. Pokemon cards are another thing which I see all the time at the Carboot and are normally overpriced. People either know the exact value, are trying to sell them for market value, or trying to sell them overpriced. It's very rare you get a cheap Pokemon card deal, and it seems to be getting worse at Carboot. It seems more and more people are pricing things way too high. Like, if you want to get rid of stuff, it's best just to try and sell the games cheap. I think a lot of people forget that people want to get a good deal at the Carboot. If people want to pay eBay or even CX prices, they're probably going to go to eBay or CX rather than getting up early on a Sunday morning. For me, when I'm looking for games, even demos, I'm looking to spend 50p or £1 on a lot more of these common titles. But it was good at least to see some Wii U games, as I did finally manage to get the Wii U trilogy of Disney Infinity this year. I wonder how many of these PC CD-ROM games sit in these baskets for the rest of all time. Who is buying Tetris Worlds for the PC in 2022? And who ever bought Games Puzzle Variety Pack for the PC? Couple of games on the next store, and it was a shame Black Ops 2 wasn't for the 360 rather than the PlayStation 3, as that would definitely have been worth picking up to flip into CX. I did have a look at the controller here. At first I thought it was a knockoff controller for the PlayStation 2, but I had a little bit of a closer look and it turned out it was for the Windows PC. So I passed up on this one. Even though it was boxed to complete, PC controllers aren't for me. There's just something I love about these kind of retro novelty phones. I don't even have a phone line in the games room, but if I did, I'd definitely have one of these novelty phones. Heading on to the next store, and there was a couple of Star Wars books here, and this Pokemon Where's Ash book. And I am a child at heart, let it be said. I love all things Pokemon. I've picked up so many of these kids, inverted commas, Pokemon books now because I just love them. You know, I grew up with Pokemon Red and Blue. They will forever be some of my favourite games. And this book was just a bit of fun. And picking this up for 50p just gave me a smile. This has to be one of the heaviest, bulkiest, annoying items I have ever picked up at the car boot. But this Simpsons episode guide for season 1 to 20, they were asking £3 for this. And my wife collects a lot of Simpsons merchandise, and for £3, I don't think I could leave this behind, so I had to grab it. Okay, it's me. I am the kind of person who picks up these terrible knockoff consoles. An Ultra 8-bit. What even is this? But it's boxed and it's complete and it just looks terrible, and everything on this stall was 99p, but just look at this thing. It's like, it's the Wish of consoles, but it's just incredible. The fact it comes with a cartridge, that kind of like gives you the idea you're going to be buying more cartridges for this console. I know these things are absolutely abysmal, but for 99p, even if it gives me 10 or 20 minutes of amusement on a Sunday afternoon, it's worth it. Okay, here's one to test who the oldies are watching this video. Who remembers when encyclopedias were on your PC? This back in the day was the best way to finish your homework. I was very tempted to pick this up just because of the absolute memories of this software. These were another thing that just have a really fond place in my heart. These little handheld LCD games, like 20 Questions. I swear this thing actually kind of worked. And like these little pocket Deal or No Deals. They were one of those kind of things you played with for 5 or 10 minutes, then realised they were ultimately pretty pointless. But they were such a big thing in kind of the late 90s and the early 2000s. Here I am then, still going through all of these DVDs and games, trying to find some hidden treasure. But this is the thing at the car boot, you are going to find a lot of FIFAs and a lot of DVDs and even Blu-rays now, which essentially have less and less value. This is the thing, like a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays now drop their value pretty much as soon as you buy them. One of my favourite retro toys for the 90s is Mad Max, which was the boys' equivalent of Polly Pocket. These were super cool, I would have been tempted to pick these up. How much are you looking for on them?
12 quid for that one, that's got my Mac and the other guy in it.
Only one of these was complete, and I do think that 12 quid is a little bit high. These are the kind of things I think you could probably pick up on eBay complete for about the same price, so I did pass on these. There was a couple of video games, but again, nothing too exciting. I think more and more we are seeing that pop vinyls are becoming the Beanie Babies of the car boots these days. There is just so many of them. There's very few that I like, and God of War is one of the ones I do like, but if I pick up pop vinyls, they either have to be absolutely incredible and ones I love, or just pick them up incredibly cheap. I pass so many of these on the car boot. One thing I'm definitely seeing less of at the car boots nowadays though is PlayStation 1 games. It seems that a lot of these have been picked up from people at the car boots, and it's just the scraps that are remaining. So here we had a couple of snooker games. The thing is, even if I could pick these up super duper cheap, I may even pass on these PlayStation 1 games. I'm a massive fan of Star Wars, but seriously, they will put the Star Wars name and logo on anything. Here we have a collector's coin with a set of stamps. The thing is, if I didn't have a games room, I'd actually be tempted to have a Star Wars room, and boy would I be spoiled for choices. I think Star Wars merch is perhaps the thing I see the most at the car boot. Couple more DVDs here and a Turtles film which I see all the time. It's weird with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles films. I always seem to see the same films and I always miss one from the kind of set. Like I've never seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 the movie and I always see this DVD rather than From the Shadows. I'm actually a fan of all of them, not so much the one that's recently released on Netflix, but it's always good to pick up DVDs like this from the Carboot because you normally pick them up a lot cheaper than CX. And talking of Turtles, check out these awesome retro comics and annuals. Some of these were absolutely incredible and like I just love the 80s TMNT stuff. It just looks so cool. Like check out the artwork in this annual. I kind of feel like I might have actually had this exact annual when I was growing up and it just brings back such good memories. I just love that first season of the animated cartoon.
What you got on your Turtles annual?
It's £3 that one.
Thank you.
Of course, as well as loving TMNT, I also love all things Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, and I also love board games. So when I saw this one, I thought it was definitely going to be a match made in heaven, but I was a little bit taken back by the prices game.
Oh, buddy, how much your board game? That's £10 that one.
I know it sounds like £10 isn't that much, but at the end of the day, we are at a Carboot, and really I want to pay Carboot prices.
Cheers.
One skill which I've really developed over the past 12 months is the ability to sniff out games anywhere. They cannot hide from me. I am like a shark that smells blood. If there is games in a store, I will find them. So how many people would have missed these ones just hiding around here? Just down on the corner, a little box of Xbox 360 games hiding under some toys. Sadly, there was nothing really to write home about here. Obviously, Borderlands and Fallout are both favourites of mine, but these are all games that can be picked up very cheap at CX, so not really worth adding to the collection because I already own them, and not worth trading into CX. We were coming to the end of the Carboot, and here we have it, folks. The last Carboot games of the 2022 season. We have Dishonored 2 and Destiny 2 and the amazing Doom 2016 for the Xbox One, and all of these tape-based games. There's something I do not see very often at the Carboot, but I don't have the greatest knowledge of these. If they are super cheap, I'd definitely pick them up. I would have liked to have made a decent offer on this entire box, but he was asking £3 or £4 per game. At the end of the day, I know very little about these, so I did decide to pass. But let me know if you're watching this and see something you would have definitely picked up. This is something I definitely want to expand my knowledge of going into 2023, so please leave your tape game recommendations below. That's it then, folks. With a tear in my eye, I can say the 2022 Carboot season is over. But what an amazing trip it's been, and it's been a pleasure having you along for the ride. Here we are then, back in the games room, folks, and yes, it is a sad day. That probably was the last Carboot of 2022, and sadly, it wasn't the greatest Carboot of all time. But don't worry, we've still got a few bits to go through. Our first little pickup is just a cheap one. It's these couple of Mario kind of Happy Meal toys. I just like these for kind of general display around the games room, as normally Mario figures are quite expensive, and you know, anything Nintendo just looks cool adorning the game shelves, especially when it's this cheap. Next up, we have some books and comics I picked up, and the first one is this Star Wars Shattered Empire, because it's a journey to Star Wars The Force Awakens, which I think could be quite cool to get a little bit more lore going into that film, which was lacking a little bit of backup detail. The thing is, with Star Wars comics, they always seem to be super expensive, so picking this up for 50p seemed like a bit of a no-brainer. Next up, we have this Pokemon Where's Ash comic, which is, yes, you've guessed it, very similar to Where's Wally or Where's Waldo if you're in the States. And I was actually kind of surprised how difficult some of these were. I probably just picked the easiest one, but there you go. Few seconds, somebody tell me, where's Ash? Again, only paid 50p for this, and I think that's a pretty good deal. Finally, we have this Simpsons episode guide, which is the episode guide for season 1 to 20. The first 10 seasons obviously being the best seasons of The Simpsons. And this thing is incredibly heavy. It's one of the biggest books I think I've ever picked up. This was a bit of a nightmare to carry around the car boot, but picking this up for £2 or £3, again, just couldn't really pass on it. Just the one game pickup this time, and it is Chronicles of Narnia Prince Caspian. It is the Steelbook. The thing is, it is a little bit rough around the edges, but whenever I see steelbooks of video games, I normally pick them up, as on eBay, kind of your cheaper steelbooks still go for £2 to £3, so picking this up for 50p ain't a bad deal. Finally, we have this absolutely incredible knockoff gaming console. So, to me, the console looks a bit like an N64. These are some kind of weird N64 SNES controllers. That's obviously a NES Zapper, and you know, it includes, was it 84 games. It actually has a cartridge in here, and the thing is, this thing it's just exactly the same on the other side. This is one of those things that I really need to stop picking up, but just my morbid curiosity means I have to. This was £1, but let me know in the comments down below, would you have picked up the Ultra 64 or whatever the hell it is called for £1? There we have it then, folks. That was Carboot Season 2022. Let me know in the comments down below, what was your best pickup of the entire year at a Carboot? I am expecting some amazing answers. This has probably been my best year of Carboots of all time, and I cannot wait for the 2023 season of Carboots. I can't believe we're looking to that year already. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See y'all soon.